Good afternoon. My name is Angelo Papastamos. I work for the Utah Department of Transportation. I'm here today to talk about our transportation program called TravelWise and our Clear the Air Challenge that we have been putting on, which is a trip reduction program. And the Clear the Air Challenge is focused on improving air quality. Let me give you a little background on our geographic area. We live in a bowl in Salt Lake City. We have mountains on both sides, and it makes it problematic for air quality to get trapped. Oftentimes, especially in the wintertime, we have a trap of dense, cold air that basically keeps all the air quality emissions in it, and it gets trapped by warm air. So in Salt Lake, in the wintertime, it's many times that the ski resorts up in higher elevations are warmer than it is down the valley because of these inversions. Well, these inversions cause us heat problems. Okay, part of the problem is our increased VMT in Utah. We have a lot of growth, and our VMT continues to increase, and that's contributing to our poor air quality. So about 7 years ago, approximately, we got together, led by the governor of Utah at the time and the Salt Lake City and Salt Lake County mayor, and we started to discuss air quality. I had begun a program, the TravelWise program, with UDOT as a true trip reduction effort, and so I was part of that group. We decided that we were going to work with a committee that Salt Lake City had already formed called Salt Lake Solutions. Salt Lake Solutions was basically a committee that would work on individual city problems or regional problems, and then they would come up with solutions and do them and then kind of disband. So we got together and decided our biggest focus should be on air quality. It should be on a trip reduction program. When we started this, we had the Salt Lake Chamber as a partner. We had a group called UCare and our consultant team of Penn and Powers. That was our original partners with TravelWise and the Clear the Air Challenge. So we started it, and we had a positive approach to it. We decided we're trying to motivate behavior change and get people to really reduce their trips and help improve the air quality on a voluntary basis. Utah is known for being a good state on volunteering for solutions, and so we attempted to do that with the Clear the Air Challenge. It was very successful. The first 3 years were incredibly successful. We ended up getting funding from EPA at some point, and that helped with our success. At the end of each season, when we had the Clear the Air Challenge, we held awards, and we gave awards to small businesses, large businesses, public agencies, different categories. The picture you're seeing right now, the top right corner, is Enterprise, so the car company. They're listed as a small business in our challenge, and you can see some of the numbers that we've saved. I mean, and I'll talk a little bit more about the numbers that we saved. 1.715344 pounds of vehicle emissions over the years with this program. So it's been very successful. Then 2 years ago, we decided to find another tracking system, and we explored systems, and we found Ride Amigos, and so we started to use their tracker. Basically, their tracker is embedded in our Clear the Air Challenge, and they've adapted it, and it's been wonderful. It's been a wonderful partnership so far, and we hope to continue with it. We've embedded their tracker into our system, and so right now I'm just showing you the basics, which, if you're familiar with the tracking system of Ride Amigos, this won't look unfamiliar to you. And so the lady listed up there, Brittany Brozo, she's been a key member of our consultant team, which has been working hand in hand with Ride Amigos to make small improvements for us as we continue to work with them on the challenge. Again, if you're familiar with the site and with their tracking system, you'll see that carpool, transit, walk, bus, drive are all options in our trip reduction program. And of course, it gives you carpool partner options, and we've just started to use that really this year. The first year we didn't use the carpool system at all. We just tracked it. Now we're starting to use the carpool system. You can see some of it's getting populated And this is showing one area. We're also tied to our green bike share program, and that's what these green dots are showing. We're tied to all our transit systems, so you can go in and schedule your trips and look at your trips and come up with, of course, your calculations of pounds emissions saved, calories reduced, cost saved. And so we're tied to all of our alternative transportation systems as they come on board. Here's kind of a summary of where we've been over the length of the challenges. You can see some decent sized numbers about vehicle miles saved, trips eliminated. One particular year we had 8,916 participants, which was our high. I think that was 3 or 4 years ago. Because of that EPA grant, we were able to market and promote a little bit better across the Wasatch Front area, which is basically a 120-mile area. And so we're able to promote it a little bit better. So certainly some of our success is tied to promoting and marketing. Some of the lessons we've learned over the length of this is you really need to get champions. You need to get single partners to lead the teams. Again, we've worked with businesses, nonprofits, state agencies, all kinds of groups, universities, but it's very important to get a single partner. Otherwise, the teams don't form, and there's just not the push and drive that's needed. Another thing that we've learned is engaging entities over individuals is critical. It's tough to get just single individuals in a neighborhood or a community to participate, but if they're part of a church group or the chamber or a business, then it makes it a lot easier. So really work with entities. We have many partners that we've done this with TravelWise, and one of the unique things that we're doing is we have these challenges, and we've also created separate challenges for individuals using the tracking system, and not for individuals, for individual companies or agencies that want to have their own challenge outside of the Clear the Air challenge. And so that's taken off over the last 2 years, and we've had about 20 of those happen. It's very important to leverage our research, for education change is very important. We continue to evaluate targets and tactics annually. And of course, the earlier you start, typically the better off you are to get the businesses engaged, especially if you're looking at some sort of incentive type packages. The earlier you start, the better off you are. And also just be flexible and adjust as quickly as you can. And that's been one of the beauties with the Ride Amigos is we are quite flexible and we are adjusting as quickly as we can. Again, getting back to some of the successes, we've been able to continue to build new participants. We haven't retained everyone, but it seems like we're about a 50-50 split of retention versus new participants. Of course, we'd like to retain everyone that's participated, so we continue to try to give it a fresh look, a fresh start. And so we work with the Salt Lake Chamber and come up with ideas every year on how we can make it more fresh. And with our partnership with Ride Amigos, we think we're going to get there for sure, and hopefully retain some of these folks a little bit longer and continue to add 50%, some percentage. One of the things we've done with my program, TravelWise, again, which is integrally tied to the Clear the Air Challenge, is we've done surveys, and this was a recent survey that was done. Actually, it was done statewide rather than Wasatch Front area, but we found that 74.8% of the people that are engaged in trip reduction efforts like the Clear the Air Challenge are sustaining their TravelWise behaviors after the challenge. So it's really, really exciting for us to see the progress that we've been making. And that's all. Do you have any questions?
I do actually. Thanks, Angelo. That was a great presentation. And the first thing that comes to my mind is actually just on what you were just talking about, that you've got almost a 75% behavior retention, people that continue their TravelWise behaviors after the challenge. And I'm curious how you all have discovered that number, because with programs like this, that's often one of the most difficult things to calculate, is that sort of continued impact. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about how you've you've come to that 75% number?
Okay, the way we came to that 75% number is we do UDOT annual surveys, and about 3 or 4 years ago we started introducing TravelWise behavior questions into the survey. And so I'd like to say this is about the 3rd or 4th year we've done that. And so this year when we did it, all of a sudden for the first time, we saw just a tremendous amount of people that are understanding the program, implementing the program, and retaining the program. And so it was a statistically significant survey that was done by a separate independent group, and it was, all of us were kind of staggered actually when we saw the numbers. It was like that's a little high, you know. And then we've been able to correlate the survey numbers with our actual vehicle trip reductions during the winter on the actual highway, on the state system, the freeway system and the arterial system. We can look at traffic numbers during bad air days and good air days and compare those. So over the last 4 years, we've started to show success each year, and we've been able to correlate that now with this survey. So pretty exciting.
That's incredibly exciting, actually. The other question that came to my mind that I'd be curious to hear a little bit more about is that you talked about the importance of focusing on engaging with organizations rather than engaging with individuals, and how for you in your program that it's really been through engaging with the organizations that you've really found the most success. Tell us just a little bit more about what that sort of engagement or incentivization for organizations to participate in your program looks like.
The Salt Lake Chamber is the main driver of the main Clear the Air challenge that I presented on today. And they engage the businesses, mostly small and medium type businesses. And then my program works on larger businesses and cities and governments and state agencies and nonprofits. So between the two efforts from the Chamber and my TravelWise program, we get a lot of coverage with the different groups. So we engage it. So I'm working with TravelWise a year round rather than a month or 3 months for these challenges. And so we always are talking to new partners and discussing what we can do to help them with that trip reduction effort, and part of that includes these challenges. Did that answer that?
Yeah, it did. And so the last question that I'd have for you then is, as you look at the future of the Clear the Air Challenge, what are some of the new and emerging ideas that you all have in store, if you're willing to share?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. And so we have been holding it in the summer actually every year. And so the summer we have air quality problems related to air ozone. Our winter is what I showed you the winter inversions are, which are really bad. So we have decided to move our main challenge. So led by Salt Lake Chamber, we're going to move it to winter. We're hoping that, and we may extend it. Right now we're debating that, whether we're going to extend it or not. The winter season, our no burn season is what it's called here, is we have it November 15th to March 15th. So we're placing that in there. We're also engaging the universities more. We've got 3 major universities in this area. We actually got about 6 universities, but 3 major ones, and we're engaging them more. And the winter makes more sense for universities as well rather than summer. So that's our biggest change, I would say, is moving it to the winter. With that, we also have these individual challenges that I mentioned that we're going to continue to grow. Right now, in the last 2 years, we've held about approximately 20 individual challenges. When I say individual, I don't mean persons, individual companies hold their own challenge within themselves, and they compete. You know, they break down their group of their company into many teams, and they compete against each other. So those are held off the main challenge time, and so that's our main changes.
Excellent. Well, it's exciting to see such a successful program that you have built, and obviously you're doing all the right things to keep making that tremendous impact. So thanks for being a part of this event. Thanks for your presentation today.
All right. Thank you.